Welcome back to Watch More Football. We're in episode 17 now. There's only 3 of us here this week, and I'll get to that in a little minute. But first of all, just to let you know, you are watching us on the Genreverse Sports YouTube channel. It is brand new. If you like this show, if it's cool, you think it's good, you'd like to see it again, why not hit a like, subscribe, and it'll let you know when it's on next week. And we tend to film most Mondays, but this week and next week as well, we're actually going to be filming on a Tuesday for various reasons. While you're on the Genreverse Sports YouTube channel, please also check out the main Genreverse channel, which is more for entertainment news, reactions, reviews, all that sort of stuff on there. We've also got our lrmonline.com website, which is where you would find all your written entertainment and news, articles, reviews, rumours, which most of them will be covered by myself, Cam Clark, who is hosting the show. I'm here with Ryan, Dave, and for some reason Mick. I was about to say that Mick isn't here, but he just seems to be here, and I don't really know why. So let's go to Mick and find out. Can we actually hear you, Mick?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, damn it.
Yes, we can. We can hear you. I don't know how he managed it after 20 minutes of just looking at his tablet
and
making gestures to it.
How long have you had that headset sat there?
You
sound better than your other half.
Just been said right there.
No, I've just look at it's tiny. I've just went and pinched my son's off his Xbox.
Your son's got better headphones than you, mate.
Do that?
While he was asleep, I went like
this. 10 minutes ago, the people are waiting for this video.
I do buy my son better than me.
Number one fan, Rich, messaged me today, and he said, "Where is my football show?" Because we're a day away.
We'll make it up for you.
So sorry to our number one fan. Here we are. It's a little bit late, but you know. Anyway,
well, Rich, you'll have to wait on Tuesday next week as well.
Yeah, we'll have to wait till Tuesday next week, Rich, unfortunately, because Chelsea are playing Newcastle. And although Dave doesn't really give a shit if he misses his team at the moment, because he's completely
like at the state of us,
interested them by
Stamford Bridge right now.
Check his new background, which represents how he feels about Chelsea right now. So he probably doesn't care, but myself and Mick, we still do care about our team, and we want to watch them, whether we get here or not. So we won't be on next Monday. It'll just be a day late again that we do the video. Anyway, shall we start with our predictions from last week and find out where we all sort of went and how we did? So Kel will bring up our image of our predictions last week. Dave's aren't on there because Dave was in the grave last week, but we did show his on last week's, and he's got his points, etc. So to break it down, I got 6 points, Mick got 8 points, Dave gets 7 points, and Ryan gets 6 points, and that leaves myself, Mick, and Dave on 57 points each, all tying for the lead, and Ryan not too far behind now, but on 52 points. So
I'm starting to think this is a conspiracy, because no matter what you all score, you all end up with the same points at the end of it. It's ridiculous.
Conspiracy is you keep scoring more points. That's what it is.
I'm sorry, I can't be penalised just simply for not scoring as many points as you guys. That's wholly unfair, as I'll get into when we talk about the derby later on.
Yeah. And talking about, obviously we did predict certain games. We will. These are the games that we'll kind of be focusing on a little bit as we go through it tonight. We'll talk about the title contenders, so Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City. Man City were playing Ryan's team, Manchester United, so that will cover that. But we'll also cover a little bit about Chelsea and Newcastle as well and how they got on. I mean, I think probably the simplest one we could start with is actually yourself in terms of Chelsea, Dave, because we were all saying that none of us really watched much of that game. Did you see any of the highlights for that game whatsoever?
Did we win?
Did you win? No, you drew to each. To each. Against who were they playing against?
Brentford.
Yeah.
Brentford.
That's not bad. You were away from home, I think.
But Brentford are terrible.
You think Chelsea versus Brentford? It's a bit of a derby. It's a 2-2 draw. You think that's going to be a really good game, but all I've heard from it is that it was just the worst game of football imaginable.
And it was a pretty good goal in it.
Yeah, I did. Well, I watched much of the day, but somehow missed it. I don't know how.
Yeah. Yeah, the bicycle
Wasn't
kick
allowed
was
to
good.
watch it.
Yeah.
There was what? There was a bicycle kick in it.
There was a bicycle kick, and
Not from
still
Chelsea,
like
obviously.
I
Yeah.
did see that. I did see
Yeah.
that.
If
No,
it's
that
something we
was-
can
I
do
don't remember
well,
any of the Chelsea
If
goals.
there's something we can do well, it's concede really good goals. So it's always
That's-
worth watching for that.
As a
That's
Newcastle
actually the
fan
one
who
game.
Usually for like 20 years in a row in the Premier League, the goal of the season was scored against a team wearing black and white almost every season. I can appreciate that, Dave.
That was the one game I never watched so much of the day.
yeah.
Brentford
I
Chelsea.
don't know what I was doing, but I just sort of lost in like it's
I
just
think
like
they
black.
just knew
black
how bad it was and they made it so small, or it just there
Yeah.
was some
It's
magical cost
Showing
over that
mercy
game
on
that
Chelsea
made
fans,
people
that's what it's
forget it.
doing.
Maybe
I mean,
take
we
Todd
can't support
Bowley
that
had
at all, I
paid
don't think,
Dynamo or something to
Nah.
make it so that people would forget the game and just move on and leave Pochettino alone. I don't know.
I
But
appreciate
I guess a draw's not a
personally.
great result for you, but I mean,
At this stage,
does it matter?
results. Yeah, we just want to see good performances, and it's just not really happening. There's no consistency whatsoever.
There are a lot of
So-
fans starting to say now that I don't think he was ever welcomed because he's an ex-Spurs manager. I think few people some Chelsea fans were certainly willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
They weren't hounding him out for day one. But you kind of feel
I
that's
think
turning now.
originally, I mean, obviously because he's ex-Spurs, we weren't so keen on it, but we kind of wanted to give him a chance because he's got a good history of kids, so to speak. It's a bit of a weird thing to say, isn't it? Actually?
It just doesn't sound right at all. That
Yeah,
Dave.
so you think he'd be
That's
good
really
at
not good.
bringing up the kids?
Yeah, well, that
Yeah.
still doesn't sound any better.
Well, I mean, he did.
Yeah.
He bringing forward youth players into the first team, shall we say, and making a team out of them. He did it with Southampton, and he did it a little bit with Spurs as well. I mean, Harry Kane was just a young player coming through at that time. So yeah, I know what you mean, and that's kind of why they went and got him, isn't it? You know, so
Yeah, and obviously we haven't had our entire first team all season, but because we've had a consistent team for a while now, you'd hope they'd kind of gel a bit better, which we're just not showing any consistency, which you bring up every week. You just never know how we're going to play. Like against City, we were good.
some games you can just
Against
play
Brentford, we're
well
not.
and win.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really frustrating, to be honest. Yeah.
So yeah, not much more to say about that, I guess. To be honest, and I guess we'll finish off. We'll build up to the title race. In terms of our game, I don't have too much input as either. We won 3-0, but I also think, and the reason why I'm maybe not super excited, like it's not we're back, we're super positive. You know, I think we played okay. It was good that we kept a clean sheet, but they missed quite a few chances and they had terrible injuries. Like I know we've had bad injuries all season, but Wolves are kind of heading that way now, and they lost two of their best players at half time in the game as well. So I kind of feel like, you know, it's not as if we've turned some corner to win that game. I think
Just papered over the cracks.
Good.
It's just papered over
it is
the
a
cracks a
little
bit.
Nice goal
So
from
I
us.
think a bigger test.
Oh, yeah, hell of a run.
Chelsea and next week.
Hell of a run from
Yeah,
Tino.
it was a good goal. It was probably, although it wasn't a great goal because he didn't finish it spectacularly, he did finish it, so it was a good goal, but
It was a hell of a
all
ball from Sheff.
fairly scrappy as well, you know, with little deflections and the ball falling the right way and stuff like that. A few players had a good game though, Mick. Like Bruno had a great game. He's been playing brilliant every game, just about.
Gordon.
Sorry, who did you say?
Gordon had a good game.
Was great. Yeah, Gordon was great. Isaac,
Shea.
who has had a bad game recently, looked a bit. He's still only done 60, 70 minutes, but he looked a lot sharper. You know, just a little bit hungry, a little bit more
Still-
on it this week. So
Botman as well. I think Botman improved on his
Yeah.
recent performances as well. But Shea was the standout in the defence. Some of the balls he was pinging about. Unbelievable. But his
I think
ball
he's
was for
been the most
Livermendo's
consistent
goal.
defender all season. It's just a pity.
Yeah.
In his 30s, you know. But yeah, I think we've got a bigger test going to Chelsea next week, and maybe that'll be a better sign of
Depends what
whether
team
we've turned this
turns
little
up.
bad form corner or where we're actually just as inconsistent as Chelsea are, and we shouldn't expect.
Well, we are at the
much
minute.
Table finish ourselves, you know.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was 0-0.
No, I mean, no spoilers. But when we send each other images of things beforehand, but yeah, I've went for a draw in that game anyway. I just
That's all
to win it. But I don't know. See how it goes. So moving on to the title race, because we do have a three-way title race going on this year, and it has been quite. I mean, I know it's none of your teams, in fact, it's all teams that Ryan's team traditionally despised, I guess. So there's that, but. It's a good title race from a neutral point of view, though. Like we've had this between Liverpool and City before, and we've had it a little bit last year between City and Arsenal. But we've not. It's been a long time since we've had three teams that are all kind of chugging along and doing that. And
since the days of Arsenal, Man U, and City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man U, and Liverpool and stuff, wasn't it?
Even then, though, when we were
that most of the time,
when we were a long time ago,
us, I would say,
when we were bossing it, it was either Arsenal or it was Liverpool, or
Chelsea.
Later than that, it was Chelsea, but it was only ever one of them at a time.
Yeah. Liverpool were never. I mean, other than the Slippy G season, until Klopp, I don't think they were ever seriously in a title race. Maybe
they had a decent season. They had a decent season under Rafa when Torres was first sort of breaking through, but it caused Rafa to lose his mind a little bit. So
he did.
They never really recovered from that.
Dealt with bits with that one. But anyway, so I kind of enjoy the fact that we've got all three of them competing, and I think we're seeing sometimes. That way, I don't know what's the best way to explain this, but one team will be playing really well and they're winning 4 or 5-0. The other ones are maybe they're a bit nervy looking, but they're still picking up points, and the three of them are consistently doing that. Even
the momentum's
they're winning games.
The momentum's definitely been shifting a lot, mainly between Liverpool and Arsenal, I think, and I think a month ago Liverpool were in the ascendancy and maybe looking shaky now, and Arsenal look brilliant, and sort of City are just sort of lurking there waiting to go on their run as well.
If you look at the actual games this weekend in terms of what happened, Liverpool's was definitely the least convincing of the three. I mean, they really
shouldn't have happened.
I mean, we need to talk about that because there was quite a lot of controversy in that game in terms of the they blew for a foul. Basically, they should have given a drop ball back to who are they playing?
Forest.
Forest, sorry. They should have given the drop ball back to Forest, who were attacking. It was still 0-0 at that point. It was right in the end of the game. And for some reason, the referee just gives Liverpool the ball and says, here, their attack is over. Now is your time. Go, my favourite team. Go for it, or whatever he was thinking at the time. Because it's Paul Tierney and the Liverpool fans hate him, so that's not true. But I don't know what the hell he was thinking. But, a minute after that, Liverpool had scored, and I know people say, well, what's it got to do with this? A minute later, blah, blah, blah. If the ball had still been with them and they were still attacking, that attack never happens the other way. We all know how it works.
Yeah.
I mean, they could, Forest could win another corner. They could eat up the stoppage time down that end of the pitch, all that sort of thing.
I think much better than Liverpool.
Over the course of the game as well, Forest were the better side. But a bit like against us in the Cup, they just couldn't quite finish chances. And
the thing is,
Alanga got into some really good positions, but just couldn't hit the target at all.
He should have scored a couple.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would go and say Forest deserved to win it, but I think
I don't think they did. But I think they had a better game than Liverpool.
I think they might have deserved
Liverpool just sort of Liverpool just sort of forced their way through.
But from that attack from Forest, that could have came to a chance because they were putting Liverpool under some pressure in them final minutes. So that could have came to a chance to win another corner, anything.
But then because they pulled
I don't understand why you
start defending and Liverpool get their players up the pitch, But hey ho,
that's just ridiculous.
What happened, and
then they should have had a penalty.
Keeps them in the takeaways, but I think maybe there should have been more to it. Who should have the penalty?
Forest.
Can I just interrupt a minute? So I've got Bayern versus Lazio on. And have you just seen what's happened with the ref?
No, I missed it. Still busy.
All right. So Bayern are trying to cut back to the edge of the box. The referee's trying to get out of the way of the ball. Slips. Still looks like the ball's going to nutmeg him, but then he brings his back leg back and blocks the ball anyway.
Ugh.
I thought it was, honestly, the way you built that up, though, Ryan, I thought it was going to be more dramatic.
I mean, it looks...
I'm disappointed.
He tripped over the ball and managed to
real time
into the back of his own net.
In real time, it looks like he's dove to like block this cutback from Bayern, but he's just slipped over. Anyway, carry on.
I think Liverpool were fairly fortunate, but they got the win that they needed. We'll finish off with Arsenal, but I guess the next one to go to would be your guys, Ryan. So, I mean, obviously Man City beat you 3-1, but what was your thoughts on the game? I think, did we all see it? I saw that one.
I saw it.
I saw that one, yeah.
I saw the second half, actually, yeah.
So, I think we played pretty well in terms of within the framework of what we were trying to do. We played pretty well in the first half, and I think we were doing what we wanted to do more than City were doing what they wanted to do. What was lacking was a bit of conviction when we were breaking, because we did get in behind them sort of 5 or 6 times that half. And Garnacho just didn't look like he had the legs to get on the end of anything. Rashford, apart from his absolute thunderbolt of a goal, really wasn't on it. His first touch was lacking, his passing wasn't good. So it just wasn't sticking. And then obviously Haaland misses that chance right on half time as well, which is ridiculous. And you sort of think, great, cool. So we put in a committed performance. It's not going right for City. Pep is talking like a deranged crack addict to the fourth official. It's all going well. And then the second half, just the legs were gone in everyone. And we sort of just let City play. I know I've spent weeks on this podcast moaning that we make a good start and then can't slow the ball down. The one game that we couldn't afford to do that was this game, and the amount of times we broke in the second half and then ended up playing it back to Onana and then getting pressed into a mistake when we could have just gone route one. It was frustrating, and sort of as soon as Foden's first goal went in, just the heads went, and it was only ever going to go one way from there. But I think
it kind of felt like as soon as they equalised, it was only going one way, didn't it?
You know, given the players we had available, I think that's the only way we could have played. It's the only way we've ever got anything out of City for the last 5-6 years. So I've got no issues with that.
No, I think there was a few media, should I say, anyway, that were having issues where Man United shouldn't be defending against Man City anyway, so they should be out there and playing free-flowing football. That's how you get smashed. I mean, City now. No, do you know what I mean?
I get that in the context of we've spent £1 billion in the same period that City have spent 800 million. I get that. The fact of the matter is, we haven't spent that £1 billion on a team that can play that sort of football. So,
if it was money we wouldn't be in this position.
Exactly. You know? I rather would not worry about what's gone on in the past that's got us to this place. It's what place are we in right now? How can we deal with it? And that's how we were going to deal with it. And we just sort of weren't good enough on the day to do it. I wouldn't have wanted us to have gone for it and lost 6-7-0 like we would have done. I think that was the game plan, to get something out of the game. And it was our last chance to sort of rescue Champions League football, was getting a result out of that game, I think. Now the gap is too big. Now it is about trying to play the right way and trying to put in a good style of play like we have done.
Theoretically, Villa, Spurs could have their blip and just fall away.
I mean,
you never know what happened to Spurs at the end of the season. They might just shit it.
Villa and Spurs are playing each other this weekend, so if that's a draw, then that opens the door slightly. Yeah. But we're 11 points behind Villa, we're 6 behind Spurs, and they've got a game in hand. I just don't see it happening, to be honest.
No, I don't either. I mean, you never know. Let me ask you this, because I did moan about this on WhatsApp, and Eric.
What don't you moan about on WhatsApp?
The game. What?
What don't you moan about on WhatsApp?
Moan about everyone on WhatsApp. That's why we started a podcast, so I could moan and make other people listen to me. All 7 people that are out there watching, I'll make them listen to my moans.
This is why we can never do a watch along, because it's not happened for me yet. Whatever's happened, mate.
we
Harry Kane's just scored.
We're doing some kind of watch along for that Chelsea.
Is that the least touch to the player?
We decided that it would be too ambitious.
Anyway, you're gonna moan to me about Eric Ten Hag saying there were 2 fouls in the build up to City's 2 goals.
I'm going to moan about that, because I just don't know. It annoys me when managers focus on stupid things instead of just like all the other stuff he said. We played well in the first half. He could have just said, we won up in the second half, we fell away. I just felt like when the game got away from us at that point, if we could have performed like we did in the first half of the second half, we could have got a result today. I think that's enough to say. He didn't need to say that there was two, because they weren't fouls.
So
that.
Two things. I agree that the Rashford one 100% wasn't a foul. Rashford should have been stronger. If he'd have actually got to that ball, he would have been in on goal. He didn't need to look for the contact from Walker there. No issue with that whatsoever. I put my piece in the group chat about how I thought the Edison tackle, fine, yeah, he got the ball, but anywhere else on the pitch, that's called a reckless tackle, in my opinion.
No, it's not.
And not only that,
it's not.
Not only that,
they're both running for the ball. I've seen Dan Burn make that challenge maybe 3 or 4 times this season. He's running in and he slides in with the big legs and he takes him out. And if he takes the player out after them, that's the attacker's player's fault. Either get to the ball first, in the current, or get out the road.
In the current landscape of where we are with these sorts of decisions, I think if that is in the middle of the park, if it's Casemiro going in on De Bruyne, I think that's a free kick.
Well, I think it's the ball as clean as what Ederson gives.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
But also, Edison has
hits the ball into the player.
Edison's also got previous for coming out, flying out towards a player and cleaning them out.
I might have previous for doing things, but it doesn't mean I'm going to do them the next time.
But on your point about Ten Hag coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, we were beaten by the better team on the day." Unfortunately, you can't say that as a Man United manager after getting spanked in the derby. You got to look for something.
Everyone knows it. What do you need to
but he
Let's
can't
all play this game where we pretend that we're as good as Manchester United.
I'll give you an example. So David Moyes' season, we got beat comfortably 3-0. Right? He came out and said,
"Expectations of your fan base, Ryan."
Yeah, he came out and said, "City are the team that we aspire to be."
Yeah.
Right. As in, hold my hands up. There's nothing we could do. They're about. Yeah, that was the death knell. Ten Hag's fighting for his job at the minute. He can't just say, "Oh, they're better than us. There's nothing we can do." We had a game plan. My game plan was working up to a point, but these small margins cost us the game. That's what he's saying, and that's him trying to save his job. And we all know what we saw.
Everybody knows it's bullshit. Every Man United fan knows it's bullshit. So why do they have to play this bullshit game?
Because he doesn't give a shit. He just wants to.
As a Newcastle fan, I'd just be calling it for what it is. That's bullshit, Eddie.
And that's fine, and I'll recognise that for him just trying to save his job. But at the end of the day, he is fighting for his job, so that's what he's got to say.
But is he not trying to just put a bit of pressure on the new owners to go and spend in the summer? Well, that's all he's trying to do. He's saying, look, we're not as good as them. Make us as good as them. Help us get there. So,
can he say that, Mick? When they have given him money?
The thing is, though,
they've bought the players
he spent money.
Not performed.
He's still going to try, isn't he?
He spent money, but he's also basically done the job of the sporting director at the same time as being a head coach. He's basically, he came in and the transfer infrastructure was an absolute mess. So he just went, right, here's some players I know, go and get them. Whereas any other manager at any other top club is like, here is the sort of player that I need. And they go, brilliant, here's some guys that we've been scouting for the last 5 years.
Do you think he insists on spending 90 million on Anthony though? Like every day by putting you on putting pressure.
So he wanted Anthony. At the start of the window, he wanted Anthony. But he also wanted De Jong, and we spent half of that summer chasing De Jong, who was never going to come. And by the time we went back in for Anthony, we desperately needed someone up front, and Ajax had already sold a lot of their players, so they didn't need the money. And it was basically, I need an attacker. Anthony's the only one on the list, so you just have to pay what it is. And that's not Ten Hag's fault, I don't think. I think that's the fault of the people above him.
I certainly don't think he says pull the trigger on how much to spend on a player. I don't think that's a manager's job. I think they said to him, do you really want this guy?
We spent so much of that summer, A, only chasing one player at a time, and B, basically chasing a pipe dream to get Frankie de Jong. And all of the Anthony money was going to be spent on Frankie de Jong, basically. And then we lose 2 games, Frankie's not coming, so we quickly go out and buy Casemiro, which again, no scouting's gone into that. It's just, you buy Casemiro, let's search on FIFA the defensive midfielders. he's the top one on the list. Perfect. Like, and it's
he
still
was one of the signings of the season last year.
100%.
When he came in,
he's not a shrewd signing. We spent
a lot and probably got you a trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved him last season, but he's not a shrewd signing. We spent 60 million on him, and we're going to get 18 months of good football out of him at most.
Yeah,
you know,
he's old enough that I could have played with him in my era.
The thing is,
maybe not quite.
The other week I was moaning that we're going to have to move Casemiro and Eriksen on in the summer because their lugs are gone. They're past it. They've only just turned 32. I turned 32 in January. So that's
so young.
Well, yeah, it's just, you know, I'm at that sort of, you know, I'm at that point in my life.
Baby.
I'm past it for the over 35s team. You know, to be honest,
they're doing an over. They're doing an they're doing an under 50s.
The only reason I was pretty crap at football, right? But I was fast.
I can vouch for that.
And I was fast. And I was fast, and I was fast. That's the way I've had going for me. And I had big, long, gangly legs that would annoy the shit out of people as well. So that's the only things I've going for me. And you can't really use any of that waddle football. You know, you can't run, so it destroys all my abilities.
So you just get stuck on left wing.
My issue was I could spot a pass, but I could never play it.
You know, that's when I want it, and it goes somewhere.
Yeah, no, I'd be brilliant as a sort of sitting midfielder, just pinging balls left, right, and centre, except they'd be going in the stands. So,
what would I give to have the skills of some of these football players? I would have worked hard at it anyway. That's what annoys me when we see these players that don't work hard and just football, turn up, play. You know, that's my job. I just
pick up 120 grand.
I mean, they probably do. They probably do work hard up until the point that they buy a Lamborghini at the age of 18, and then what's the point after that?
And they think that's it. I'm done. I guess some bands are like that as well. They make the first big hit record, and then they just go, we're rich now. Fuck this.
Well, yeah, well, no, it's also
after that they don't care.
They make the first good record because they're angry at stuff, and then they get rich, and there's nothing to be angry at anymore. So
yeah. Sometimes that happens.
What are 60-year-old Metallica being angry about?
Yeah, I know. It's a fact. But yeah, I mean, in terms of Man City, I still have them as my favourites between the three of them at the moment, just because they've done it so many times before, and on their day, they're still the best team that can beat anybody else on their day. I think if everybody's playing at the top of their game, they're still just a little bit ahead of the rest.
Oh my word!
No, so I think the thing about City is they can put in like a 7 or 8 out of 10 and still steamroll the team. That's the thing about them. They're just inevitable. Whereas Arsenal, who we'll get onto, they're smashing everyone at the minute, but everyone is playing out their skin to do it.
And anyway, let's get on to Arsenal then, because
Eric
it's probably
fucking
going to be the title of the show.
Yeah.
And I left it.
It's just like
what for us to talk about it. Arsenal won 6-0 against Sheffield Wednesday. I thought the title of this we'll decide if this was what it will be, but Arsenal had 6 against Sheffield.
Yeah,
and then amateurs, because we hit 8 against Sheffield United, and Arsenal's supposed to be a better team than us. They beat us 4-1 a week ago, but yet they can only take 6 off Sheffield. I mean, are they stupid?
They were 5-0 up at half time.
Yeah,
5-0.
And so they were 6. They were 6-0 at the start of the second half and had 6 different scorers. At that point, you give everybody else in the team a goal. You go and win a penalty. You give that to the goalkeeper, and then you just sort of, whatever the time is left, you just walk off the pitch for the rest of it and let Sheffield.
See, that shows a lack of ruthlessness to me. They should have did what Newcastle did and went for like the record and just said, right, we're going to batter as many goals into you as we can. Didn't do ours any harm. It didn't do us. All our players injured for the rest of the season, and that never happened for us.
Have you seen? So that's the fourth home game in a row that Sheffield United have conceded at least 5 goals. That's historic,
that's the
biblical
levels
of
shit.
In a row.
Oh shit!
Yeah, in a row.
Yeah,
I've just worked out why.
Three times.
Going to beat them.
That's 3 games in a row. Arsenal scored 5+ goals away from home.
Yeah. Is it 3 or 4?
3.
4? Is it 3?
No, because they beat West Ham 6-0. Then who did they put 5 past?
Scored 5 in the first half in the Premier League. The Premier League history, anyway.
Did they put 5 past Brighton?
I don't know.
Or was it Brentford?
What?
Brentford, I think.
I can't remember.
With Brentford, and then obviously
they've certainly had a lot of high-scoring games, and they've definitely seemed to, of the 3 teams, they're the one that seems to be ticking along nicely. Play some beautiful football, Arsenal, but really against that team against Sheffield, they just some of the goals were just so bad, so badly defended. It was just like a warm-up that they were having it there. There really was just no competitive spirit in Sheffield United at all. But anyway, that's not Arsenal's problem, is it? That's a Sheffield United problem at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I do think they could finish with one of the lowest goals against ever, honestly, because they're absolutely terrible. Anywho. But yeah, should have done 8 like Newcastle. Made it boring because of that.
They just couldn't.
9, we wanted 10. We never get 10 in the Premier League. Come on, that was a chance. 5-0 at half time. Could have went for the record. Arsenal, boring. Anyway, kind of pushing on a bit shorter this week. Is there anything else we want to get into or talk about? Have you got any biting topics you want to talk about, guys, before we do our predictions for next week?
I say Richard Hughes is no longer going to be at Bournemouth after this season as the sporting director. He knows which position that he's taken, but he hasn't mentioned where. Obviously, this is the guy that Newcastle wanted to replace Dan Ashworth, and also Liverpool want him, and so do Roma.
Want him as well.
Did he work with
and Roma?
I was going to say, was he there with Eddie Howe? Because
he was there with Howe and Tyndall.
So Eddie Howe's promoted his brother to like head of recruitment as well recently. Yeah. So he's really sort of building his kingdom up there, isn't he?
Brother to head of recruitment. Steve Nixon still head of recruitment. He's reported him to, I think he's got a promotion, but it's not running it.
Is the assistant head of recruitment or assistant to the head of recruitment?
He's assistant to the head of recruitment,
But it's
Steve Nixon's still in charge anyway, and actually he's got a great record. He's one of our sort of jewels. They say, again, like when we're talking about sporting directors, we can't say what these guys do. But
what I would say is it points to Eddie Howe building more and more influence there, which is sort of making it seem like it's unlikely he's going to get the sack anytime soon, unless you really shit the bed.
But this Richard Hughes seems to be sought after because Roma want him as well.
Easy choice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's up to the club to decide. I doubt Eddie's like, go get this guy, I like him, or something like that. I'm sure they're not. That's not what's happening. It's just that the guy's got a good record.
I think I was reading that Liverpool wanted Michael Edwards to come back, but as a CEO. And then bring in
he'd said
Hughes.
He'd only come back in certain scenarios or something like that.
Yeah, if he was like a CEO, he didn't want to go back as sporting director. He wanted to go as like a CEO. He wanted to go in as
a completely different job. Would you want Darren Hughes, our CEO, to go and recruit players? No, you would not, because he's not a football man, he's a businessman.
He wanted to go.
CEO is a business job, but I don't get that. But
he wanted to go in as a CEO and bring in like Hughes as the sporting director, and then
I don't go. I'll take this guy at Bournemouth. I don't care. It really, as we said before, none of them have got a name really, other than Dan Ashworth and probably Edwards anyway. So other than that, it's like oh yes, we get this guy. You never knew his name or knew who he was before you so I don't think, it's just one of those things that fans do. Anything else you want to bring up? All right, we'll get on to keep it a shorter one this week, and we'll get on to our predictions for next week, guys.
It just looked like Eric Dyer scored an absolute worldie, but then when you watch it, he hit a hell of a volley, but Thomas Muller headed it in.
That was Delict, wasn't it?
No, it was Dyer.
Was it Delict? It was Dyer.
I think it was Dyer.
It looked like Dyer.
What I was going to say is I've worked out why Bayern are struggling this season. It's not just because Harry Kane's cursed. It's because he goes out to the stadium and he sees a bunch of red and white scarves, and he's getting Vietnam flashbacks to getting smashed by Arsenal in the North London derby. That's what's happening.
Maybe. Or maybe he is just allergic to winning trophies.
He's having an insane season.
Yeah, but then he was.
It's not been his fault. He's just
he was on insane seasons with Spurs. Like, you know,
he's doing all he can.
Thankfully, he's an England player because he's cursing you as well. Right. Anyway, hold up your things.
Oh, do I have to? Owen.
Like and subscribe written on it, and you can't.
I've always had it on there
because I put it in yellow. I know I'd started copying, but then I put much more football in yellow. And
yeah, but mine's turned the other way. How do you turn it the other way? No,
you're fine, Mick.
You use your hands and turn it around. Like that's how you do it. In terms of big games. It'll be looking over. I mean, I guess the Monday night certainly we're watching Chelsea versus Newcastle, but it's kind of more of a mid-table tie at the moment. In terms of the biggest one that could have an impact, it's probably Villa and Spurs, as you said, Ryan. If they draw, it could let other teams back into it. If one of them wins, it could propel them a bit further ahead, kind of thing. Any other games stand out for you?
Well, I mean,
Man United, Everton.
Yeah, Liverpool City.
Liverpool City's a slightly big game. There's
Liverpool City.
Yeah. A little bit right.
I've been slightly deliberate with
a couple
that.
of Champions
I
League
thought somebody
spots.
said Man United Everton, and I thought, what?
Yeah, because obviously, if Man U win,
Everton will get beat.
If Man U win, then that could propel them back into the Champions League hunt. And if they don't win, that could get Everton going again to get away from relegation.
Yeah, I think
so. I mean, it is big. It could have implications. And it's always an entertaining game, I think, between United and Everton.
Everton always kind of show up a bit against the bigger teams, so you never know.
But, we win. It's the lunchtime kickoff on Saturday, so we win, and then that's pressure on Villa and Tottenham when they play on Sunday. But also Luton are away at Palace, and that's a game really big.
Villa Spurs the tea time kickoff, by the way.
It's like somebody saying, I'm coming to get you, and they're looking down for a tower away up high, and they're seeing somebody's head just busting through the clouds.
So more importantly, if we beat Everton, Luton are playing Palace, and
it's a 6-pointer.
And that's something that's a game that really they ought to win because Palace aren't that much better under their new guy, I don't think. What I would say about Luton is they keep putting in really good performances and they keep getting absolutely bugger all out of it. So
and
I don't know. I think that's flying under the radar a little bit because they're punching above their weight.
It's like the anti-United.
Yeah.
But it's just it's a lack of quality. Like they're trying the hardest, they're trying the hearts out, they're giving everything every week.
They were really bad against Villa in the first half
to win some of these games of football. Ultimately.
Yeah, they were, but the second half.
Anyway, the big one, Liverpool versus City. What way do we think it will go? I mean, I said I fancy City to win it. I think Liverpool have got a lot of injuries now. I don't think they're quite
they've got a lot back.
I think City.
I think Liverpool are set up to play against City, so
I've got a draw, to be honest.
I've got a draw.
Yeah, I've got a draw. Yeah.
I think Liverpool have got their injuries back. I think Nunez is back. Salah could be back. So
I mean, what they are lacking is Szoboszlai and Trent.
Yeah, massively. Yeah.
And so their defense isn't quite right. I don't think.
Yeah. They've missed Thiago this season as well.
For me, but you just never know with these games. It could end up in one of those shitty 0-0 draws where nothing happens for 90 minutes and there's nothing to talk about. Sometimes that
never happens in Liverpool City.
How many are Arsenal going to put past? How many are Arsenal going to put past Brentford then on Saturday?
5. What did I predict?
Yeah, I've said 3. I think Brentford are better defensively than Sheffield United.
They let 2 in against Chelsea.
Eventually.
And Jackson was one of them.
Well, as we've saw,
Brentford aren't doing very well, but
when they feel like it can score, but only if they've been letting them in at the other end. If it's 0-0, they can't score. If they're 2-0 down, Chelsea will score no bother.
Yeah. And then I guess Chelsea Newcastle. I've got Newcastle winning that just because.
Me too.
Just there's better vibes at Newcastle than at Chelsea.
I mean,
what takeaway are you going to get, Dave?
Sin nothing.
I'm not gambling, man.
If he was, he would have
No, well, you don't have
house
to.
if I was.
Maybe not so much in the past. You maybe wouldn't have had enough money to be able to keep doing it now after all those successful trophy-laden seasons that you've had in the past, would you? Anyway, yeah, a lot of other games. We'll talk about them next week, but that's basically us for this week, guys. So if you were watching, thanks very much. Give us a like and subscribe if you can. We should be back to record next Tuesday, maybe late Tuesday, Wednesday, before you see it appearing on here on the Genreverse Sports YouTube channel. If you've subscribed, it'll give you a wee notification to say when it's popped up anyway. Other than that, thanks very much for watching this week. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.